morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me way in the back? Excellent, I see thumbs up. I'm Judge Robert McBurney. I want to welcome you to the courthouse. You are here today because you've all received summonses to potentially serve as grand jurors. I want to talk to you a little bit about how this morning is going to work, and then we will get through this process. I want to tell you what grand jury does, so you have an understanding of what your service might entail. I want to promise you, you will all have an opportunity to let me know if you think it would be a conflict or a hardship for you to serve as grand jurors. But before we get any further, I want to acknowledge that to my left, the media is here. This is a public event, and so they are free to be here. They have been instructed to not film any of you. There will come a point during today's proceedings where some of you will be invited into the room to my left to follow up if you have a potential hardship or conflict. When you do that, you're going to walk that way and around and in, and these reporters have all been instructed not to film you. Welcome if you want to stand in front of a camera to do that, but if you don't want to do that, your privacy will be respected. So I'm on the camera, the people behind me who are going to introduce themselves in a minute are on the camera. You will not be on the camera as long as you don't walk this way. If you walk that way to my left, your right, and around if you're called into the room if you're following up on hardship, or when you are selected to serve, it may be that there's some movement around this room, but we'll manage that with the media. Any questions from the media about that? Seeing none, they seem to understand. Excellent. So a grand jury is the body that considers presentments from the district attorney. If I get arrested for burglary, the grand jury, the district attorney's office reviews the police report, the file of that burglary, and decides whether that's a case that maybe should move forward with prosecution. It can't get into court, it can't get in front of a judge until that case is presented to a group of 23 members of our community. That's the grand jury. The grand jury hears evidence from a police officer or an investigator. That person describes to the grand jury, hey, this is what the case was about. We arrested McBurney, he was coming out of a house, he had an air conditioner in his hands, it wasn't his house. Maybe that's the evidence that's presented. A grand jury decides whether there's probable cause, whether there's more likely than not something happened, and you vote to true bill that indictment. And if a majority of the grand jury true bills that indictment, it becomes a criminal case that can then go to my courtroom or one of the other 14 judges who handles criminal cases here in Superior Court. A grand jury hears those presentations. You hear a bunch each day: burglaries, rapes, murders, theft, etc. That's your role. Grand juries in Fulton County meet for 2 months, a 2-month term, and you meet twice a week, 2 days a week for 2 months. We are today picking 2 grand juries. We have Grand Jury A, which will meet 2 days a week, Grand Jury B, which will meet a different 2 days a week. You don't know right now whether you're going to be selected or whether you'll be on A or B. If you are selected, all that will be shared with you as we move through the process. But I want you to understand what a grand jury does. You receive these presentations from the prosecutor, from the district attorney, in theory it could be the attorney general, but a prosecuting authority. And you all discuss it in private. The prosecutors leave the room and you vote to true bill, not true bill. That creates the indictment. If there is a true bill, that creates a criminal case that then gets randomly assigned to one of the Superior Court judges. You're not a trial jury. There won't be lawyers arguing the evidence. There won't be a judge in the room. There won't be objections or anything like that. It's a presentation from the prosecution side about whether a case should be true bill or not. 23 of you vote. You don't have to be there every day for this to work. There are also alternates. And so in a moment, I'm going to ask you a little bit about hardship. But as you're thinking, wait a minute, I don't have 2 days every week for the next 2 months. I don't either. But that doesn't mean I couldn't serve as a grand juror, because you are able to move in groups. It may be that you, sir, have a week-long vacation in the middle of August. You can go on that vacation because an alternate could fill in. It's not an expectation that each of you would be present 2 days a week, every week for the next 2 months. So just keep that in mind when I turn to this question about whether you have a hardship or not. You'll be coming here fairly often, not always a full day. As judges, we receive the indictments that get true billed each day. Sometimes I get those at noon, meaning you all finished your work by lunchtime. Sometimes I get them at 4, meaning it was a longer day for you. But it's not a 9 to 5, 2 days a week, every week for the whole 2 months. But I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It is a commitment of time. It is public service. You've already committed some of your time. You've been here for a couple hours, so I don't mean to make light of it. It is an imposition on you, but it's a necessary imposition because we don't simply let police arrest and all of a sudden you've got a court case. There's an intermediate step where members of the community hear the evidence, admittedly from only one side. The accused doesn't appear in front of you. Her lawyer doesn't appear in front of you. But you at least are a check to make sure that folks aren't getting brought into court for trial simply because that's what the district attorney or the attorney general wants to do. It's what the people have affirmed through the true bill of the indictment. So that's in general the grand jury process. If you get selected to serve today, you'll be spending more time with the district attorney's team. She and the folks who work with her will be telling you more about how the process works. I'll meet with you one more time today to tell you a little bit more about your role. You have a few other authorities as grand jurors. You can inspect the jail if you want to go inspect the jail and a few other things. But the meat and potatoes of your work will be considering these presentations from the district attorney's office, these indictments, that you'll be deciding whether the true bill, in other words, move forward with prosecution, or no bill. Nope, we don't think there's probable cause for this to go any further. And that's the end of the case at that point. That's the general theme of what we all do. Now, in order for you to serve as a grand juror, you have to meet some basic qualifications. I'm going to ask you in a minute about those, and you'll let us know how you fit into those categories. I need to administer an oath in order to do that. But before I do that, I want to give an opportunity for other folks who are going to be interacting with you today to introduce themselves. We have the district attorney and her team.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me in the back? Good morning. I am Bonnie Willis. I am the district attorney here in Fulton County, Georgia. Thanks to you all for electing me. I have 2 members of my team here with me today. That is Chief Senior Assistant District Attorney DeAndre Royals. He is over the grand jury, and so if you're selected, you will spend a lot of time with him. He'll take very good care of you, I assure you. And also, Deputy District Attorney Grant Rude. Thank you all.
Ms. Von Kelsch.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? All right. My name's Amy Von Kelsch. We met earlier. I'm the Director of Jury Services. I also have with me my esteemed team, Adesha Battle, who is the Deputy Jury Clerk, and Marina Milankovich, who is a Senior Jury Assistant. Thank you. I also want to remind you real quick, phones are away. No filming, no photographs, and no pictures. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Von Kelsch. So today you'll see more of Ms. Von Kelsch and her team. After today, you won't see them again, although I think it's your team that's responsible for paying these grand jurors. Is it a whopping $25 a day?
It is.
It is $25 a day. I should have added that as an incentive to serve. $25 a day for each day you serve. That adds up over the course of 2 months. You'll be seeing a whole lot of the district attorney's team because that's the team that runs the grand jury. They are making the presentations to you all. So today, as you learn more about your role, if you're selected, and then each day you show up, it will be the DA's team that you'll be working with. No judges in there. You're not going to see me again. And the jury services team's role completes today. All right, I need each of you to stand up so I can administer this oath. And once you're up, I need to see that right hand up. All right, I need to know if you shall give true answers to all questions that may be asked by me or the district attorney or her representatives concerning your qualifications to serve as a grand juror. Please say yes if you so swear or affirm. Yes. Does anyone not so swear or affirm? All right, take a seat. You are now all officially potential grand jurors. So there are only 3 qualification questions I ask out here, and then we're going to do roll call. And any follow-up we have will be on an individual basis in the individual basis room, where you'll go as we call your names. First, I need you to raise your hand if you know. You can't already know what the question. There's no early voting. Okay? Let me finish the question. Because if you raise your hand, who wants to be the forever 4-person grand jury? I need you to raise your hand if you no longer reside in Fulton County. You all did at some point, because that's how you got the lovely summons. Does anyone no longer reside in Fulton County? Is there anyone here who is an elected official or has been an elected official in the past 2 years? I don't mean elected to chairman of your homeowners association or beauty queen or something, but you're the mayor, you're elected to the school board as an elected official that way. Other than the district attorney and myself. Okay. And if you've been convicted of a felony and have not had your rights restored, a felony is a crime that is punishable by a year or more in custody. You may never have gone to jail, but if you've been convicted of a crime and your sentence was denominated in years rather than days or months, that could be a felony, and that may create an issue for you serving. So if you are a convicted felon and you have not had your rights restored, hands up. All right? So in a moment, I'm going to call out each of your names. You have been randomly put in a numeric order, not based on when you showed up or zodiac sign or anything like that. But once everyone was checked in, the jury clerk's team has a piece of software that randomizes things. So you're in a particular order now. I'll be calling out your name, just your last name. So if there's more than one of you with the same last name, just both raise your hand and we'll sort out who it is. But I'm just working with last names here. When I call your name, you need to say one of 2 things. Either ready to serve, my ears, or hardship. And please keep in mind the type of hardship that would excuse you from service. It's the kind of situation where you are the sole provider for a minor, 6 or under. You don't have someone else in your household who can care for someone. If there is some serious medical condition that would prevent you from routinely coming to the courthouse to serve as a grand juror, those are all things that we'll certainly consider. Whether it's sufficient to excuse you or not sure. I'll make the ultimate decision, so hold it against me, not against the district attorney or jury services, and we'll hear you out on whatever it is. But as a reminder, the fact that you know you can't be here for a week in August, or there are a few days in July when you've got a business trip or vacation, that's okay. That's not a hardship. And the way we structure this with alternates, we can accommodate that. There is, again, no expectation that you will be here every day of this term of service. It's great if you can, but that's not so realistic. So one of the roles of your 4-person is making sure that you've got a quorum every time the grand jury meets. But that flexibility means you don't need to be there every day. So please don't raise your hand because you're going to a Braves game in late July thinking that's going to get you out of jury duty. Because it won't. You're going to have to come back to that room and tell us. We're going to try to keep a straight face when you say, well, I've got these Braves tickets. And it's a day game. You'll be able to go to that game if you already bought it. Okay? So with that kind of caveat surrounding what constitutes a hardship, we're going to roll through the group here. So, yes, I need you to speak up. I'll repeat your question so people can hear it.
I have a question.
Yes.
If in your profession, what you do, you have certain people under your care, it's not directly related to is that?
So it's a great question. Is it's not that this potential grand juror has a 4-year-old with no other way to care for the 4-year-old, but maybe you're a doctor and you have patients, or you work in a nursing home and you have people for whom you provide care. That's your day job, and having a day job is not a hardship. Otherwise, probably 90% of you will be able to walk right now with your board. That's part of the sacrifice that's involved here, and it may be more of a sacrifice for some people. Others may love it that 2 days a week they don't have to go to work, but you still get paid, and you get $25 a day for coming here. So if you think that it would create a particularly unique hardship given your line of work, then you should say hardship rather than ready to serve, and we'll hear you out. Just historically, having done this, we get people come in and say, look, I'm really important, my business is important. That's true, and we would never suggest your business isn't important. Our business is important too, and we really need a diverse group. It can't be people who hate their job and aren't working, but it's people from all professions. I'm going to say again, ready to serve or hardship? You're not even oh, dang, we're going to get to you though. I'm going to put a star next to that name. Ready to serve, excellent.